Good morning, everyone, and welcome to episode 36. You start to lose count of these after a while. I'm pretty sure we're on 36. Correct me if I'm wrong. Welcome to episode 36 of the Digital Commando Show. My name is Stefan Wesley, your Digital Commando, and I've got some more fantastic guests for you today. So today is Tuesday Trends. So if you know anybody that's looking to get any tips on their marketing, what kind of content to create, some cool social media tips, then this is the show for them. So guys, if you know anybody, do the one thing that I always ask, which is pay it forward and tag some people in the comments that you feel could benefit. If they're not going to benefit, don't tag them in it. Just tag the people that will benefit, or share the whole show with them on the replay if you're watching it on the replay. Really appreciate it. So it is Tuesday Trends. What are we talking about on Tuesday Trends? For anybody that hasn't seen it before, we're going to be talking about what makes your social media like really pop with great content. We'll talk about what the current strategy and focus is that our experts are using at the minute for themselves and their clients. And then we will get their top 3 social media tips. So should we get them into the room? Yes, we should. So today I've got for you Laura and Emma. Oh, I'm just going to take that banner off. How you doing, guys? You all right?
Yeah, good. Thanks. Nice to be here.
Superb. Well, thank you very much for joining me. We really do appreciate it. Guys, we've got fantastic experts on here today, so feel free to ask questions throughout the show. We will be keeping an eye on them, and we will bring them in as and well, as long as they're relevant questions. So please do jump on the comments to start asking. Guys, for anybody that doesn't know you, we're going to get you to introduce yourself. So Laura, we're going to come over to you first. That way.
Hi.
Go for it.
I'm Laura Greenwood. I have a company called Your Lead Generation, and I'm based up near Hull in East Yorkshire. So I help business owners embrace marketing to create a lead generation process in their business to generate quality leads and implement strategies to convert them to sales. So that's what I do. My biggest focus at the moment is I'm running a 5-day challenge to help us said business owners, to help them nail their niche to really kickstart their marketing, and that starts on the 1st of June.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Laura. Emma, over to you.
Hi there. Well, I'm a little bit different in that I didn't come into it as a marketer, so to speak. I'm actually a glass artist. I don't know if you can see the items behind me. So 6 years ago, I moved back to the UK after spending 13 years in the Netherlands as a glass artist, and I came back here knowing nobody. And I needed a way to be selling my products, and I needed to do it without actually going out to the usual trade shows, craft fairs and things like that, because I had 2 small boys at home. I didn't have any website knowledge, and I didn't really want to be selling via Etsy and things like that. So I looked to social media, and in particular, I looked to Facebook and Facebook events. And that's how I got my products out into the hands of the customers, is by using Facebook events. And that became so successful for me that it meant that eventually I could leave my part-time job. And as we've seen so many people are saying that they their doors are closed and the events and shows have been cancelled recently, I thought I can help people with this. So I've actually started workshops helping other product-based businesses generate lead sales and cash in the bank using Facebook events. So that's me.
Absolutely awesome. Can't wait to hear more about that. Guys, for anybody who doesn't know me, I'm Stefan. I'm your Digital Commando. I'm the founder of and CEO of Sigma Digital, and also the creator of the Digital Commando Academy, the one place in the world that you can go and learn Facebook and Instagram advertising from zero to hero and be a proper commando. So guys, if you're interested in that, launches on the 15th of June, so let me know. Right, that's it. Let's get stuck into some questions. So the first thing we were going to talk about is current focus and strategy. Now, these have, I'm not going to use the P words, everyone says they've changed and gone the opposite direction, but the lots of our strategies have changed at the minute for businesses and individuals and ourselves as marketers, everything. So what current strategies, we're going to come over to you first, Laura. What kind of strategies and focus have you got at the minute that's really working for either yourself or your clients?
One of the first things I did, sort of about 8 weeks ago, we all went into lockdown, is I did a sort of a £99 call of helping people just raise their social media profile. So helping them just get online, predominantly on LinkedIn, because I'm quite business to business work, and getting them talking better about what they do. Because obviously there's nothing, I'm a big believer in this. There isn't a single downside, is there, in getting closer to the people that you really want to serve. So it's about really seeing how their world has changed so you can then pivot accordingly and still be relevant. Or it might mean that you suddenly become more relevant to a different market. So for me, it's really seeing about where you sit in the world still, and if that is still the same, and going through that sort of niche thing of the benefits and the afters and everything for the market that you're looking at. So for me, it's really looking out and seeing, is your market still the same, or should you be pivoting, or should you be adjusting what you say to your market to still be relevant for them, really, I think is probably the main thing I've been doing, Stefan. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is one of the things that people have to look at, isn't it? And not everybody's in a position to sell at the minute. So it is how they can engage with that audience. And I think it's a great time to build relationships. And this is one of the things that we're pushing to lots of our clients that aren't in a position to sell at the minute. Just take the time to build a relationship. I come from a very heavy sales background, more corporate, but very kind of cutthroat sales. And from that, we've always seen that one of the first things we do, we focus like 80% of what we do in sales is building the rapport and the relationship and the trust with the customer or client before you sell to them. So this is a great opportunity to do that.
Yeah, from a lot of my clients as well, they see marketing as selling as that cold, hard sell. They're not seeing that actually it doesn't have to be like that. You can be really, and they say, oh, everybody talks about authenticity and being genuine. And it is actually about that, although it's an overused word. It's about finding out how you are relevant to the people that are in your audience. And then however unsexy you think your product is, to them it's attractive, isn't it? It's about really is about being, what being able to explain how great they're going to feel with having you in their world. And that is not the cold hard sell. That has definitely, that convincing and persuading has definitely gone. And it's now about engaging and relationship building and helping people solve problems and showing that you understand where they are right now in their world. And that is such a nicer relationship, isn't it?
It's a cliche, but the old saying, people buy from people, is still more true than it ever has been. People do buy from people. So if you build a relationship and people like you, guarantee, if you don't like someone, you're probably not going to buy something from them, are you? Now, if you do like them, a much higher chance.
Yeah.
So,
you can't be everything to everybody. So just find your tribe and serve them really, really well and be really, really good at what you do.
Cool. No, I really like that, Laura. Great answer. Emma, we're going to come over to you. What focus and strategy have you got at the moment that's working for you?
So obviously, as I said before, my main thing was being a glass artist, but now it's helping other product-based businesses get their products out there and sold. So I'm focusing on showing people how much fun they can actually have with their selling, that it isn't, all about stuffing us behind sales. And actually, the more fun that they can have in the selling and the more fun that they can make it for themselves, the more their clients are going to see those fun things going on, and they will then warm to you and then want to buy your products and things like that. And it's showing them how to do that using events and getting people to sit in front of you at the same time, so you can be almost, obviously not having that one-to-one conversation like we're having now, but you're still having a conversation with them whilst you're holding an event for them. And obviously most of the people that I'm speaking to are product-based businesses used to doing most of their sales sort of at craft fairs or trade shows or events where they see people face to face. So they're kind of, moving into that new realm of actually, I can't see who I'm speaking to. So it's helping them come out of that and feel a little bit better about themselves. So for me, that's where my main focus is now, and talking in more groups. I mean, my whole business was built on Facebook, to be quite honest. So I'm still very much focused on speaking on Facebook, talking in groups, putting my message out there every day, and telling people to be consistent. I put a post out today about are you a fair weather dog walker? Do you take your dog out when the sun shines, or do you take him out when it rains as well? Well, it's a bit like Facebook. Don't just post when the sun's shining, post all the time, be consistent with your message, and people will be seeing what you're doing and will warm to you and want to buy those products from you.
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned consistency. Consistency is so key. I think this is what lots of people get. Influencers are struggling with this big time because they like routine. They've got their daily plans of going out, and today I'm going to go here and take nice pictures, and then I'm going to go here. And they've kind of lost that a little bit because they can't go to all the places they'd like to go. But having that consistency and making sure people do it. And we've used an example with this show before. There's a reason why the show is on at 11 o'clock every single day. It's because we've got consistency. When somebody goes, I'd love to be a guest on the show, but I can't do it until 1 o'clock. Can you change the time? No, because against the consistency side. People do, as a surprise to me, the people that do watch and they know it's on at 11 and they'll set an alarm and they'll watch it.
It's
so I think
the same for sorry, I was just going to say it's the same for my workshops. I've been hosting them every Thursday at 4 o'clock so that people know each week at 4 o'clock they could join a workshop and be taught about the events. To start off, I played with a couple of times, then I realised Thursday suits the UK, it suits people in America who want to join, so it works perfectly. So I've kept it consistently at that time every week, and like you say, if they can't join in, then okay, don't join in then.
Are you currently creating online craft fairs?
Sorry, lovely.
Are you currently creating like an online craft fair type thing online? Is that what are you doing that?
No, she's teaching people how to sell.
So what it is, it's actually getting people to use their own Facebook platform and use it themselves to create events so that they can sell their own products. So they're not necessarily, you're not hosting a craft fair, although one lady has done that now. She's taken it away and she is creating a craft fair. So it's not just for crafts. People are doing it also for their service-based businesses. It's just teaching them how to actually set it up for success and then follow up successfully.
Really clever. I like that.
Oh,
thanks.
I'm just checking the comments there. Right, cool. Let's go on to our point number 2 of the day, which is what kind of content and create and why. Obviously, we mentioned influencers a minute ago. They're struggling with what kind of content to create, and lots of other people that maybe aren't going out or are used to creating a certain kind of content haven't got access to that anymore. So what would I know we've touched on it a little bit earlier, but what kind of content would you be creating or advise people to be creating at the minute, Laura, and why?
Oh, right. Okay. Well, you'll have different people at different stages of buying from you. But if you think that somebody's just starting off in that content creation, we'll start off from the beginning. It needs to be educational, doesn't it? They need to meet people where they're at and think about who are they. They need to choose somebody. I really believe to start with, to choose somebody that they're writing their content to or doing their videos for. So they think that they are speaking to a particular person. And I think that makes the messaging much stronger. And much more real when you can think that you are talking to somebody. And I think they're very much the educational stuff, the how-tos, the 7 good steps, how they telling them stories about how people have used their products or services or packages to solve similar problems that the person they're talking to has got. I think all that type of content, which is very unsalesy, it's very explanatory, should be out there. So ideally, if they're working on social media or whatever, or they can then use some of that stuff to build an email list out of social media that they earn somewhere else, and then they can start feeding them email, PDFs and ebooks or whatever it is that helps them show that they understand where that person is at and how they can position themselves to help them solve their problems. So and then but they also need in there some call to actions. They do need to be selling and showing people, because they will have people that come into their world who are ready to buy or warm or ready to go, and what we'd call a warm lead, and they need a strong call to action to say, well, if you want to buy us, this is how you can work with us, this is the packages or whatever. So you need a big mix of wherever people are at in that sort of funnel, from coming in from being curious and wanting to know more about your world to actually looking to close a sale. So you've got to look at all the different steps that you would take people through and start building up your content around those steps that would take them on to the next obvious next step for them. For me,
this is one of the big things that loads of people forget, and I actually see so many agencies mess this up, but it's good that because we've got people that know, but there's so many agencies, and you guys will have seen them, that do forget, and they go, right, okay, they'll go to a client, so you want to sell, I don't know, mice or something, right, okay, we're going to run a load of ads for you, go in, buy this mouse, buy this mouse, buy this mouse. Yeah. I'm really interested. Now, not everybody needs a mouse right now. So we look across percentages, and you guys have probably seen this before. So when we talk to our clients and people in the academy, we'll say probably about 5% of people that you're trying to sell to are ready to buy now. Then you've probably got about 35% that are ready to buy in the next 3 months. And then the rest of it, the next 60%, are going to buy from you in the next up to like 9 months, maybe a year, maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
So you need to look at all them different audiences. And there's no point just selling to the 5%. Like, why would you ever just try and sell to that 5% of people? It's so difficult when you can actually say then. Go on.
it's exhausting, isn't it? That just relentless sales effort is exhausting, and it's proven that the ones that have come in a passive lead and you've warmed up and you've nurtured and they've really got to know, like, and trust you before they buy, become the advocates, don't they? They tell all the friends about you. They become the loyal customers. Yes, you need to be able to pick the lowest hanging fruit, don't you, of the guy that wants to buy. But the value in building that long-term relationship has proven that that's the one that creates the raving fan.
I have no idea why my phone just started playing this stream. That's really weird. But sorry about that.
That's
but no, I completely get it. I'm totally with you on that, because what you're going to see is when people are doing that, they're not. And a great example, if I walk into a room and go, right, everybody buy this mouse, not everyone's going to buy it. But if I tell people the benefits of it and they actually get some value from what I've just told them, regardless if they buy it or not, it almost becomes like networking. So if you always, again, the phrase I use on almost every show is show people you can help them by actually helping them. Now, if you actually help people with your content, add value, regardless if they buy something or not, they've got that relationship, they've got that trust, and they might well recommend you to a friend. So when someone's saying, oh, I really need X, or I really need a new mouse, I know a guy who was doing a thing on it. So you kind of...
you're referable, aren't you? And you're recommendable, and people will pay more for it. When you're just selling, it becomes very price-driven and very price-competitive, which is an area nobody really wants to be in unless they're the cheapest.
No, unless you're the cheapest, it's no fun, is it? No, absolutely. I'm totally with you on that one. Emma, we're going to come over to you. So I tend to go really off-piste on these things, and that's why I get lost. What content to create and why? That's where we were at. Brain function.
Okay, so what's been working for me mostly is sharing my story. Because obviously sharing and making it relatable to obviously my ideal customers, how my journey's progressed and how using what I'm talking about is going to work from them, how they're going to benefit from following this particular method, and only focusing on Facebook and Facebook events. Obviously, there's a plethora of other social media channels out there, and I'm not professing to know anything about those. What I'm sharing is the road I've walked and what I did to get there, sort of thing. My kids are teaching me about Instagram and TikTok and all these other fabulous things, but my focus has always been, I know, you know, there's the old adage, don't put all your eggs in one basket, but by the same token, for me, I didn't want to try and spread myself through 100 different social media channels and not actually get productive in any one of them. And I felt most confident and most comfortable on Facebook and talking it, you know, originally just on my own profile and my page, and then more recently, obviously, groups have come into play, so now we can talk in groups and things like that. And I really do think that's been a massive benefit of just focusing on one area and becoming really good at that area, rather than, for me, trying to mix and match everything. Now I've built that up and I've got, you know, an established following, and I'm you know, in a place where I'm happy, then I can be going out and looking at all the different social media areas, which is brilliant. Why you guys, you know, are the experts in all the things that you do, because you know all about it. But for me, it's been consistently sharing my story and making it very relatable. And again, just sharing the fun I've had in my journey. I shared a video the other day that had over 2,500 likes because I got my kids involved, and it was just us laughing, trying to promote an upcoming event that I was doing, and I was just in fits and giggles. And I just wanted to show people you don't have to have a perfect script, you don't have to have perfect lighting and everything else. Just get on there, be brave, get out there and do it, because you know it will reap benefits, and people can relate to that, especially the people that I'm you know, speaking to as my ideal customers at the moment. They can relate to that far more than they can relate to a perfect studio set up with a script and thinking they've got to do fabulous lives and everything's got to be perfect before they even you know, make a start on the journey. And I think we quite often get bogged down with that, and that kind of that procrastination stops us getting out there and doing what we really need to be doing, and that's getting out there and, you know, making the sales.
That's really good, and I love that you do it that way as well. And I think it's again something that lots of people miss out on, especially bigger brands where they've got this underlying feeling that they have to be really corporate when they don't. It's like, oh, we have to just post pictures of our products and stuff like that, and it's not the case. We worked with a client that we that sold like chairs and tables and stuff, and the content just after a while, we just felt this is just really quite dry. It's just tables and chairs and all that. Like the products were incredible. Don't get me wrong, amazing stuff. But after a while, you're still just posting product. So we changed it up and said, right, let's go into the factory and talk to Dave, who makes the chairs. And we've said Bob, who uses the chairs. I can't remember what his name. But we go in and we go, right, okay, well, he's making the chairs. He's been working here for 40 years. This is a bit about him, his family. This is how he actually physically upholsters the chairs. This is what he does after work. These are his hobbies. And that's it. You're exactly right. People can relate to those kind of stories and get to know on an emotional level, which I think is so key. It's really, really nice way to do things. So yeah, absolutely. Wicked way.
Can I ask a question, Stefan? So when you're in those more corporate, larger corporates like that manufacturing and the furniture place, how do you handle that they always want to do everything through the corporate page, say on LinkedIn, rather than through their individual pages?
So what we did was so we would post stuff on the company page. And what we used to do is go in and they had quite a big sales team. So their sales team was about 20 people. So we would go in and actually do either monthly or quarterly training with their team, specifically for LinkedIn. So glad you brought up LinkedIn, because that's the only training we actually gave them. So we'd go in and we'd LinkedIn training and promote the how effective it is for them to take all the information from the company page and obviously then share it. And then we actually set up an internal communication, so they would get notifications every time something got posted as well. So it's just about an internal communications process rather than an external one as well.
Because that can be a huge challenge for the individuals of a corporate, isn't it? For them to actually stand out and be visible themselves. They can get really uncomfortable about that.
Used to. I think they're used to kind of the whole point of LinkedIn in its origin was to put your CV up and go and get a job. Now, once I've got a job, why do I need to post on LinkedIn? But it is then if you're in sales, especially, it's obviously a fantastic tool. So, that's what we used to get them to do. Obviously, try and put their own kind of personality and spin on it, share it with particular leads or prospects that they've got at the time. You can tag them in and all that sort of stuff. And it worked really, really well. Because if you think, it's one of those kind of the old share theory, isn't it? If we go and post it on the company page that's got 100 followers, 100 people are going to see it if we're lucky. If then 20 employees that are all connected to 5,000 people all go and share it, the potential for reach is then significantly higher, and guaranteed that it's going to be more, isn't it? So, and obviously we all know that LinkedIn's got fantastic organic reach. So that's why we should be on it.
The corporates can learn so much from Emma's approach, which has been my approach as well, but mine was on LinkedIn. I mean, they've got so much to learn from us, solopreneurs, whatever you want to call us, all of us, by how we've done it through more personality and that. And it is so important, isn't it? It's just people, you update them. I mean, I get people and they go, I don't want to work with you. And you think, you feel like you're about to go into the big Stella. Am I going to convince them? They go, no, that's absolutely fine. We'll start the 1st of June or whatever. And you think, oh, you've already done it, haven't you? In all the work that you've done and all the content that you've put out there, you've already done that convincing and persuading. So it's
some of them are kind of moving across that. I think what we see a lot of them doing is they try and get you to relate to their customer stories. So they use testimonial videos, things like that, and go, this is Dave and Sharon, and we helped Dave and Sharon, and they did really well, and they had a fantastic time. Don't you just want to be like Dave and Sharon? No. Tell me about Bob in the office. Because if I can relate to Bob in the office, that's going to be more effective than you trying to sell me something, essentially, because that's what a testimonial video is. So I think I totally agree. They can learn so much from doing it, just kind of letting those rules lapse ever so slightly that they've had in their head ingrained for so long, and just be a bit more personable and empathetic and real and unique and all the rest of it that we talk about all the time.
And as we all now host meetings in our spare bedroom, that's helped as well, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, this is what was funny. I was talking to somebody the other day saying it is so weird that lots of people, like some of us are quite comfortable. We can go and do it in a front room or an office or whatever. Others, I said, there's lots of people that are spending the entire time now maybe working from bed or in a bedroom, things like that, which I can imagine is quite with the dogs. Yeah. Oh, I think dog with that.
Yeah. I coined a phrase the other day.
It's just for that.
Yeah. Well, that's it. It's about keeping it real. I mean, I've recorded videos where you can hear the dog drinking in the background, and I've just left it and I've said, oh, that's the dog drinking. No, never mind, carry on. you know, and it's, I don't know. The thing is, if I get hung up about it, then I'm stifling who I am as a person, and that stifles my creativity. And then I think that comes across then to people who I'm trying to relate to, and they're just going to think, well, it all feels stifled, and they can really feel your energy, especially if you're doing something live like we are now. People can really pick up on your energy, even though we might not realize it. And if you've got that, oh gosh, the dog's drinking, and oh gosh, the kids are coming down, you know, I can hear my eldest upstairs and I'm waiting for him to come down screaming for something. And so far so good, but you know, it is about keeping it real. I'm not pretending to be a giant corporation with thousands and thousands of pounds. So, you know, I'm carrying on as I am with my, as I coined the other day, with my ZARS, which is known as a Zoom arse, from all the meetings that I'm doing now, sat on my bum, as opposed to getting up and going about like I'd normally be doing.
Yeah, your 3 meter
commute. Say again, sorry?
Your 3 meter commute. One into the room to the other, and you're there, right? You're at your office.
But it is. I think those little things add a bit of personality. We've seen people. I've seen PTs that have done videos that we've worked with, and they'll do a video, and in the particular video where their cats walked in the middle of doing a workout, that one got more views than anything else because people find it funny. They can relate to it. I know, like when I speak at events and stuff, if I mess up, everyone finds it hilarious. Which I know that they're not laughing from to be horrible. They're laughing because it's quite funny that someone's like, you messed up and you're supposed to be the expert. So it's kind of, I quite like that kind of side because it shows that you're not a robot, and people can relate to it. Like when I go onto stages a lot of time, especially when I used to speak in the beginning, the first thing I would say is like, right guys, I'm super nervous. And people kind of like that because they're like, do you know what, I would be. And I remember going on podcasts. There is a video that I will release at some point, where I interviewed someone who's been on this show and she's been on the podcast, Samantha Bumford, Miss South Coast. And I remember going to interview her, and before the podcast, there's basically me having a conversation about how significantly more nervous I am. And she's like, well, I'm the one being interviewed. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'm genuinely really nervous.
Oh, but that's excitement, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tell yourself it's excitement. Nerves and excitement, it's all the same thing.
Oh, sorry, I've got a question coming in from someone saying, do you know where my profile is hidden? I do. So, Toby, your profile's hidden because there is a link. If you go to the comments, or if I'm guessing you're watching this in the group, if you go to the actual comments in the group, or where the post is in the group, drop it down so you can see all the information. There's a link on there. You've got to go to StreamYard and register, and then we'll be able to see who you are all the time. That's good enough for next time. Right, guys. We've got a few minutes left. Let's go on to our top tips for social media success. Now, I'm sure we could go on for this all day, and there's lots more than 3, but let's try and get the top 3 out. So, Laura, we're going to come to you first. What are your top 3 tips for social media success?
I think you need to, for social media, I would say I would master 1 or maximum 2 at a time. I wouldn't look at them and think I've got to do all 4 or 5 that I'm picking out. Get really slick on ideally 1, maybe 2. Yeah. And really show up consistently. I believe you should do all different types of, because it's different strokes for different folks, and your audience will all consume your content at different ways. So I would definitely be looking at video, and we've talked about that. And no matter how homespun, just show up. Emma's talked about how she's, done lots of faux pas and still showed it, but if she hadn't, she wouldn't have showed up that day. But she showed up and she was real. So keep showing up, be consistently posting, and also don't forget, don't be shy to sell. Give a call to action so they do know how to buy from you. Is that okay? Is that 3?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I like that about not going all in. This is something that kind of people go, right, okay, I'm going to do social media. That means I have to be on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, everything at once. It's draining. It's a lot of work. Like for guys that don't do social media, if you're a business owner and you currently don't do social media, or you're looking at doing a little bit more, don't take it with a pinch of salt. It is a lot harder than it looks. I don't just say that.
Consuming. It's free. It's very cheap, but it's time consuming, isn't it? It's expensive time.
Now,
so find out what your audience is and choose that platform and go for it on there, and really, really build your whole world around it in that platform.
Absolutely. I would say, and I'm sure Emma will agree, like Facebook is so good for this. Obviously, different target markets are very different, but Facebook, I think, is a very good platform to learn because it's got everything. And then you can kind of branch out from that. But then it obviously does depend on your audience quite heavily and where you feel comfortable as well.
I built my whole business on LinkedIn without any website or anything. So I'm a big LinkedIn fan. So that's where I went to first, but I was business to business. So it was the right place for me to be. But yeah, just choose one and go for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a good tip. And sell. Yeah, this is another one. I know we're in lockdown or quarantine or whatever this thing is now. Nobody even knows. I saw 100 people at the park yesterday that were all, like, as I was going for a drive, and it looked like there was a festival going on. So apparently no one's listening, but that's a completely different subject. I'm not going into that. But yeah, people are still buying stuff. So don't be afraid to sell them stuff. I don't know how much. I've bought loads of stuff in the last few days for the podcast and the business and everything else. So don't be afraid to sell people stuff. Absolutely. Don't feel guilty about it. That's the other thing. There's lots of this kind of like shaming people because they're selling stuff during lockdown, and I just ignore it. I think it's a load of rubbish. We got a load of shit when we first launched the academy, which we've been building for like over a year, but didn't know lockdown was going to happen, and it happened to happen at the same time as we were due to launch.
And your clients need you doing that. Your clients need that. Otherwise, where are they going to go to?
Well, exactly. That's it. Now, obviously, we don't agree with people taking advantage of the situation, but generally, if you're just doing your job that you've always been doing, or you're just adapting it because we all need to make money, don't feel guilty. Sell stuff. Like, get out and sell. 100%. Emma, what are your top 3 social media tips for success?
Well, obviously, I've already said I built my whole business just focusing on Facebook and Facebook events. So I would definitely say focus on one where not necessarily you're comfortable, but where you're going to find your customers, and obviously to know who your customers are, because there's no point in going on TikTok if your audience are like 55-year-old women, because they're not necessarily going to be on TikTok. So it's definitely find the social media platform where your customers going to be, and be consistent on there. Show up every day. I'm not saying you need to go live every day, because you don't have to, but be sharing your story. Definitely, I found if I shared my story at least once a day, that helped. And make it a relatable story. Turn it so that people can understand why you're telling them that story about you. That's really worked for me. And also, like you say, have a call to action. Be really specific that I am selling something and I am selling this, and that's why I want you to be there. Especially when I'm talking to people about the events, they need to be promoting the event and why people need to attend their event specifically, especially with everybody creating events left, right and centre. People need to know why they should be turning up to your specific event, and what are they going to get from that event that they're not going to get from anywhere else. So we talk about that in my workshops and why that's so important. And again, that's another part of the marketing and the selling side of things. But people do need to feel that there's a particular reason for that. And so for me, it is definitely sharing that consistently again on your chosen platform. And then when you get a little bit more traction on that platform and you feel more confident and you're getting enough leads and sales, then maybe branch out into other platforms. But at the moment, if you're just starting out perhaps, or you just don't know where to be, look at those 3 things. Look where your customers are going to be and which platform they're going to be on. Where your customers want to be as well. It's all right me saying, right, I'm going to go on Facebook, but if they don't want to be on there being sociable with you, that's another kettle of fish as well, isn't it? That's not going to work. And just definitely share your relatable stories, and so that they can see how it relates to them and how what you're selling will benefit them in the long run.
Absolutely. I think transparency is so key with these things. There's no point going, right, come along to this, we're not quite going to tell you why, and then they get there and it's not exactly what they expected. So I think transparency is so good, and that's at any level of even if you're just getting people to come to an event, or doing a little bit of marketing, or trying to get people to a landing page, or trying to sell something. The transparency and all the messaging, I think, is such a good way to do it. And if you don't do it, obviously that has negative effects on everything. You're just not going to get any interaction. So yeah, I really, really like that. I think being as transparent as possible and really sharing those messages is really good. And I would definitely say to people, they're not doing stories, start doing stories, because they are really powerful. We know now that stories are getting significantly more organic reach than posts. So For anybody that's not, if everyone's got a limited budget for their marketing, stories are great. I would say
I do love stories. I have to say.
over posts. So yeah, absolutely, guys, that was absolutely brilliant. We have run out of time, but it's been great, and I'm sure everybody's got loads and loads of fantastic tips from you today. So guys, when you're watching, if you learned anything today, which I'm sure you did, then please do tag somebody in the comments that you also feel could benefit, like Katie has. Ben Perry, I hope you're watching on the replay. Hi, mate. So, guys, do share if you've got somebody that you feel will benefit from this. Right, before we go, Laura and Emma, we're just going to run around and give a quick reminder of who you are, what you do, and how people can get in touch with you in the future. So, Laura, over to you first.
Hi, I do marketing. I help business owners create lead generation systems in their businesses to generate leads that convert to sales. You can find me on LinkedIn under Laura Greenwood, and I'm currently about to do a 5-day challenge to nail your niche, and you can find that at yourleadgeneration.co.uk/5-day challenge. And you can find that.
Laura will drop it in the comments after for everybody.
All right, brilliant. Thank you.
So that'd be great. Or if you want to private message me, I'll come back in the comments in a second. Emma.
Hi, so I'm Emma Kirkham, and I run Emma Kirkham Glass, and I'm currently helping product-based businesses generate leads, sales, and cash in the bank using Facebook events. You can find me on social media on Facebook, obviously. Just Emma Kirkham is my personal profile, or Emma Kirkham Glass is my business page. You can also find me on LinkedIn at Emma Kirkham Glass, and I'm also on Instagram under the same handle. So you can find me in those pages. And I'm currently running my events workshop on a Thursday at 4 p.m. They're £49 per person, and they run online during lockdown. And that literally means you come into a Zoom room and I'll take you through everything literally step by step to set up an event successfully before, during, and after.
Fantastic. Cheers, Emma. Guys, hope you've all enjoyed the show. For anybody that hasn't joined the Digital Marketing Commandos Facebook group, then please do, so you get the notifications about our shows every single day. We get fantastic guests like Laura and Emma on every single day, Monday to Friday. We have had a couple of questions come in last minute. Unfortunately, we haven't got time to answer them, but I know we've got one come up for Emma. And if it's all right with Emma, I'll ask her to have a look at that afterwards in the group, and she can get back to Katarina. That would be fantastic. Okay, guys. That's the end of today's show. We are back tomorrow. Thank you. We're back tomorrow for Wednesday, Web Wednesday. So we're talking about web design tips and using affiliates and influencers and all that sort of stuff. So if you need some help with that, then come back tomorrow, 11 o'clock, as always, with some more fantastic guests. Guys, thank you very much for joining me. I'm sure I'll catch up with you soon. And for everybody watching, peace out. See you later.
Bye. Thank you.